going back to World of Warcraft, we're just farming resources. That's having a job.
Yeah.
But you know what's hard in video game? Going to a raid, going to a dungeon, facing bigger bosses. And that's when you start discovering like the secret levels. Because then I will always have the regret, what if I tried and I had something of my own and it grew? If it doesn't go well, at least I can tell my grandkids that, look, I made it into big tech from nothing and then I left big tech. It's not the smartest that wins the business. It's the people who can endure the most amount of unpredictability. Discipline beats motivation. If I stayed working and I get few more million in the bank, what does that do to me? Even if you have a lot of money but you don't have connections, you will not be happy. That's when you need conviction, not consensus. Because at the end of the day, it's your life. And you don't want to have regrets at 80-year-old.
What's the number one skill that people fail and limit themselves when it comes to their career growth? Hi and welcome everyone to the Inner Scorecard Podcast. This is your host Nikhil Kapahi, and today we have a very special guest, Rajdeep Saha. Raj has spent over 7 years at Amazon as a Principal Solutions Architect working in AWS, and then he spent over 20 years working in tech. In this conversation, we speak about how risk-averse people like Raj can make such bold decisions like leaving Amazon, this highly cushioned, high-paying job, to start something from a complete scratch. We speak about at what levels does the money matter to you. We speak about what are the different challenges that you should take as a human being. I'm personally very excited for you to watch this conversation. Let's get into it. But before we jump into this conversation, I just wanted to say that 95% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. Your subscription, like, or a comment helps support the channel so I can keep bringing these awesome guests. Now on to the episode. Let's start with this primer question. Like, I'm trying to figure out who you are. I kind of did a lot of research on you, whatever I could find. But I still couldn't find that maybe one skill that maybe differentiates you from others. Like, that's something that you have felt internally validated over the years, that you're like, oh, I see I have this tendency or this skill that helps me accelerate my career in any direction I want to take it. Because I think you have switched from multiple domains and you keep on ramping up, and very few people are able to do that consistently. So talk to me about, have you felt certain way that, yeah, this skill I think is definitely my moat?
Yeah, I think if I have to say, I would say I can go from losses to losses without losing any enthusiasm. So I used to play a lot of video games and I used to raid in World of Warcraft. And there was a very famous raid boss named Lich King. And I was in this guild and we were raiding 4 times a week. And you'd get killed, right? Like, it's very difficult boss. And a lot of people will be like, what's the point of this? I don't want to try this. Let's just quit. But I did not care because I'm like, let's try again. So I think that's something that I try to do. Like, even when I was trying to switch from, I came from electronics background and I started my work in induction motor and an electrical company. Yeah, and at one point they said, okay, Raj, we are going to send you to Kenya. And I'm like, wait, all my friends are going to US and Europe. I don't want to go to Kenya. I want to go to, nothing against Kenya. I want to go to US and Europe. So I'm like, okay, let me try switching to IT from my electrical electronics background, right? So even though I failed a couple times, but I'm like, what's the worst that can happen? Besides death, all failure in life is psychological. So I think if I have to say something, all my changes, it stems from the fact that just keep trying. And if as long as you keep iterating on it, you will only get better.
Is that
The same-
retrospective, Raj? Because I'm also questioning. I question myself a lot on this. Is like, is it a hindsight view that you get this, that I had this skill, or were you aware even then that yes, I can see that not quitting or like just keep iterating mentality back then? Were you aware even then?
I think the biggest detractor for me was other people's approval. So I was not fully aware back then, else I would have done all this switch way back. I actually switched my career in mid 30s. I transformed my body, all that stuff happened mid 30s. Because before that, I'd be like, what would my parents think? What would my close friends think? What would my colleagues think? Once I was able to get past that, then I'm like, okay, this is just a numbers game. You just keep shooting, and eventually you're gonna score the goal. But the key is you cannot be like, okay, what if the ball goes out of the net, and what will the other people say? As soon as I got out of that, and then I got a little bit of success on that, it kind of reinforced my belief, and then I went like full ham. Um, I am actually quite a risk averse person.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I know the parameters of the game, I can be very aggressive. And we can talk about that more.
Mm.
My thought process about leaving Amazon. Let's say, for example, um, you put me in like a cage fight, but we have the helmet on, gloves on, and everything is protected, so the risk is parameterized. Then I can go ham. I can go very aggressive. Um,
Mm.
so I always try to see, okay, what are the risks? Okay, the risk is not so bad, right? I mean, I don't care about the approval of someone who I don't care too much about anyway. So
Right.
let's go for it.
And are you also a person who would pick one thing and want to, like, I think, like that, World of Warcraft example, like, would you pick one thing that you would focus on for long periods of time? So it's not just number of iterations, it's just being able to
Mm,
sit with the same failure and not getting distracted by, for example, me, like, I like to
yeah.
play games that I can win. For example, if I
Right.
see I'm consistently bad in badminton, which is one of the only sports I really, really struggle in,
Right.
all the I would like, okay, let's just switch to another sport. So is that also something
Mm.
that helps you figure out that I can sit on it consistently over long periods of time, and that gives me a huge advantage?
100%. I mean, first of all, I'm not athletic. I used to play soccer, but not anymore. Yeah, I tend to stick with things, especially if the payout is big. I believe anything that's worth doing has to be hard. Else everyone will be doing it, right?
Exactly.
If leaving a job and starting a startup was easy, everyone's gonna be doing it. If getting into big tech was easy, everyone's gonna be doing it. But you have to keep going through the failures. Only thing is, what I try to do is, even after I fail, I try to think, okay, what could I have done better? What's one thing that I could have done better? And then
Mhm.
when I try to do that. So I really don't like to have regrets. Um, it's fine to myself if I fail at something, as long as I could say, you know what, I gave my 100%.
Right.
Right. So let's say your badminton match. It's fine. Let's say I picked up badminton, and I lost the first match. I'll be like, okay, let me try this new thing. I lost it again. I'll be like, okay, you know what? Whatever I knew on that match, I gave it 100%. So
Right.
let's change something. Keep trying. Like you have to do repeat. Like you have to do like 1,000 hours or something to get good at anything.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And I think maybe talk to me about this persistency of yours when things were changing, right? This is I would imagine back in maybe 2010s, if I'm not wrong, when you
Yeah,
were
you're right.
switching from server to cloud.
Yeah,
Um, I understand like a lot of people were just questioning the decision, like, what would cloud do? But you made the decision to transition. What was going through your mindset? Like, how were you discovering the parameters here? How were you trying to
right,
figure out like how can I go double down on this? Because you as and we are like as an IC or as a employed worker, we barely see trends outside our workspace, right? For example, like
right,
I barely can tell which AI company will do great. Like, you know, and I work in that field, and it's because
right,
I work in that field is such a narrow vision that I don't understand how the market dynamics work. For example, how did
right.
you pick up that, okay, cloud will be the thing and I should go double into it?
Well, first of all, to be honest, I did not know that cloud will be this big. However, at that time, I could see that how fast you can move on the cloud. Because I remember, so I was working on mainframe, and we will request additional capacity on database, and it would take like months for IBM to give us that, procure hardware, all that stuff. Whereas I was in Verizon and people are experimenting, and then they will just provision a database, provision a EC2, like super quick. I'm like, wow, this is very fascinating. And I wonder if that's the way world's gonna go, because if I can spin something up so quick and experiment, pay as you go, like electricity, that seems like a big deal. And there were some early adopters at that time. Like Capital One was adopting a lot of AWS, couple of other early customers. And I'm like, again, going back to the two-way door decision, I'm like, okay, let me try. Worst case, I still have my mainframe job. And best case, I get into this technology, learn something new, and have a lot of fun with it. So then I started learning it. But one thing I have always done is you have to leverage what you already know. So I think a lot of people make this mistake whenever they try to switch from on-premises to cloud, or even on-premise to AI. They try to revolutionize everything. But if you think about it, in mainframe or on-premises server world, you still have to deal with databases. You still have to deal with microservices. You are still dealing with cost optimization. You should bring all that knowledge into the cloud. So when I started learning cloud, I started doing these small proof of concepts. And in mainframe, I would do this database. I spun up like an equivalent database on the cloud. And then I exported some data and inserted into that RDS instance, right? With the security. So when I went and talked to the manager of the cloud group, I said, look, I already know super deep on Verizon's ecosystem. I know how data works, I know how microservices work, I know security, cost optimization. I have implemented all that on the cloud. So I have the knowledge of both mainframe as well as the cloud, when to choose what. So that made me a very ideal candidate for all the migration and modernization project. Because if you look back, during the dot-com era, who were successful? The people who were successful had the knowledge of the existing infrastructure, and they added the internet protocol knowledge. Same thing in cloud. The people who are super successful has the knowledge of on-premises, and they added the cloud component to it. And I'm confident the people who will win in the AI era will be the people who has the knowledge of on-premises plus cloud plus the AI part. If someone just learned the AI part, they cannot really compete with people who has the full end-to-end view of the whole system, right? It's always man plus tool versus man plus tool. It's not tool versus tool.
Right.
So whoever has the most amount of knowledge of the tool and know how to use it, they're going to beat others who has a limited knowledge.
Interesting. And so there are parallels to the AI era, like your switch. Basically, there's the switch that was happening from mainframe to cloud, or like back in .com, like switch from physical to internet, and then now is the switch to AI. And you're saying that the previously learned skills don't go away, but they're just their application changes. You have to adapt how you're applying those in your job applications and then in your work. And that seems to be true, right? Like with this open claw and all these agents, the number one concern is security, because the people who are, pulling all this code and making all these tools, they don't understand security.
Right. I mean, that's why, I used to work in Amazon, you're in Amazon now. Most amount of money comes from migration and modernization of existing applications. You cannot just start building greenfield applications on the cloud. Most of the enterprises already have an existing footprint of projects. So who are successful, who knows how things run in on-premises, and they can bring all that knowledge in to migrate those workloads to the cloud. Where will the AI augment all the existing workloads? No one's going to create a new chatbot with new database.
Right.
People are going to leverage what they already have. So who is in the best place to do that? The people who already has the knowledge of how the existing applications are set up, which databases are my data resides in, what are the security and compliance that I need to do. So then they could use that same knowledge, on building that AI agents or whatever agentic systems they're doing.
Interesting. And talk to me about some of your Amazon career. I think that's something that is also super rare to become a principal solutions architect. And again, you entered as even as a customer of cloud services in Verizon, and then you transitioned to one of the leaders who was making all those developments and changes in cloud. So that's a big transition. So it seems like you again figured out what are the parameters, and you just went double down on them because you figured out, okay, this is how so what did you pick up like in when you entered Amazon? Okay, these are the rules I need to play by, and this is what will help me get the maximum scope and growth within the company.
Right. Well, first of all, I had this idea long back, is the people who are doing things different than me that I perceive fancy are always like super smarter than me, right? Like when I was on the electrical area, I would think the people who are doing computers must be way smarter than me. When I got into mainframe, I'm like, the people who are dealing with Java must be way smarter than me, right? Same thing when I was in the on-prem, I'm like, people in the cloud gotta be smarter than me. And as I interact with those people, I'm like, they're good, but I don't think you don't need to be way smarter than who I am. I'm like, nothing is rocket science. So when I got into Amazon, I would interact with a lot of principals and product teams. And Amazon, the bar is super high. So of course they are like super sharp, but I'm like, actually I am able to add to these conversations, not just parroting back what the L7s and the product managers, service teams are saying. I'm like, okay, so then I got a little bit of confidence. And the way you grow in Amazon is you have to think big. So that is the parameter. If you just do what your manager is telling you to do, you can go up to L6. That's the max. If you want to become L7 and above, you have to impact kind of the whole business. So I started looking at all the customers that I'm dealing with, some common problems. So like what could be some of the things that if we solve can impact all these customers and beyond. So then the process, then you write some documents, you work with the service team, right? And then for becoming an L7, you have to show technical prowess as well as your thought leadership. So that's how it went.
Interesting. And you were 7.5 years at Amazon, is that correct?
I was around 6 years and 6 months.
Wow. And this is like right after Amazon, did you transition to your own startup or your own company?
That's correct.
Did Amazon, like, I'm also kind of wondering, like, did Amazon, with all this work that you did, it's almost like you're a mini entrepreneur within a big company, right? So does that give you that confidence that, okay, if I can do this, I can speak to customers, I can speak to stakeholders. It's kind of forming this entrepreneurship journey outside of Amazon without, without a salary and without all the details that Amazon gives you, like all the ecosystem or the guardrails that Amazon gives you. You have to be just, out and open. Was that transition like already premeditated for a few months or years, or was that a more impulsive that, okay, I think I can pull this off and this would work out?
Yeah, good question. So again, I evaluated the risk. So I'm like, okay, what is the risk? If I take the chance, do I have enough funds to survive next 1 year? Okay, I do have the funds. I live very humbly. I don't have a mega mansion, so that's fine. Worst case, if this fails, can I go back to another company? Yes, because I'll be building the skills and not really just chilling, right? Now, I always had the idea of creating a product of my own, and I always pushed it back to my mind that I'll do it later. When I retire, I'll do it later. And then I'm 45, gonna be 46 this July. And at certain point in life, you see like your last grandparent passes away, right? Your parent starts to get sick. And I'm like, this is not really getting easy because people are aging. There are a lot more responsibilities. Sleep quality is going down. So I cannot really put it off as later. So the later became, if not now, then when, right? So that is the risk parameter. And the second thing is, okay, so as a human being, we always focus too much on the downside, right? Because we are always like, because that's how our ancestors survived. Okay, if I go out now, I'm gonna get killed. If I go on those leaves, maybe
Right.
there is a snake. So we always downplay the upside. So I'm like, okay, so I have funds to survive. If it doesn't go well, I can always go back to another company. Those are the risk parameters. So now I can go ham. I am aging. So this is the time to do it. And like Jeff Bezos says, in baseball, you miss many balls, but once you hit,
Right.
you score big. And in business, you are not constrained by a limited number of points. So those were my thought process. And then I'm like, that's it. I gotta give this a shot right now.
And this is now how long it has been that you've made that decision?
Yeah, it has been 8 months. But one thing, even when I was in Amazon, I grew my YouTube. I had courses in Udemy. I had students. So it was not really a zero income.
Right.
So I was getting some money. Of course, I had to get it approved and all that stuff. So I kind of knew, like, even with 20% of my time I'm getting some certain amount of money. What if I give full time to this, right? And I can 10x this, because when you are at a job, even if you 10x your output, you're
Right.
not going to get 10x the money. Whereas if it is your own thing, if you really 10x the effort, you can reap the benefits 10x, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give this a shot, give everything I have before my parents get older, even more old, and let's see how it goes after 1 year.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like it's very true on the, again, the downside is capped, but the upside is also capped in your
Right.
when you're working as an employee. And it's almost like comfortable that you know it's a tech space. And I think that's, I mean, one of the reasons that why I've been at Amazon close to 10 years is because I
Yeah.
kind of find it now comfortable. Like, this is like
Yes.
so much, there's a switching cost that you have to do with your family. And then the whole thing
Yes.
that every day you're, the first few days you're a complete newbie there. So talk to me.
Yeah, and I'll say two more things, right? Okay. So when I was in Amazon, I'm like, if I stay in Amazon, Amazon pays well. I play this out. I stay here 10 more years. So how do you know what can happen in 10 years in Amazon? Easy. You just look at people who have been in Amazon for 15 years and where they are. And I look at those folks, right, who are like 55 and above. And there is a baseline and there is a ceiling. So I know people like, let's say like Ethan Evans, right? If he stayed in Amazon or other LA directors. So for sure, I will be in between those base and the ceiling.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, but I don't like that version of myself after 10 years, because then I will always have the regret. What if I tried and I had something of my own and it grew, right? So that's one thing. Second thing is, like sometimes I feel like life is like a simulation, right? It's like a video game, and we are just farming. Going back to World of Warcraft, we are just farming resources. That's having a job.
Yeah.
But you know what's hard in video game? Going to a raid, going to a dungeon, facing bigger bosses, and that's when you start discovering like the secret levels. I'm like, I'm gonna take this chance to go raid a little bit
Right.
and see if I can discover any secret levels.
And this wouldn't have made sense before Amazon, right? That's also something I want to check. Like before you join Amazon, maybe that skill was there, but also just that confidence of like doing it at the highest level wasn't there.
100%, because Amazon makes you grow so much. You really have to push yourself, especially for L7, and to be at L7 for over 2 years. Yes, my communication was not this good. I would be very intimidated talking to customers. But when I was at AWS, you are constantly doing customer meetings. And one predictable thing about customer meetings, they're always unpredictable. You will prepare service A, service B, service C, and you go in the customer meeting and they will ask totally different question. And even though during our training they tell you, okay, if you don't know something, say that I'm going to research, I'm going to come back, all that stuff. But you really cannot do that more than 20% of the questions, because then you lose credibility.
Right.
So that is something that I need to prepare a lot. And over time, I got very comfortable being uncomfortable. Like in the beginning, I'd be like, oh my God, what if the customer asks this? What if the customer asks that? And I would be very stressed. And I would even mess up the questions and answers that I know. But over time, I'm like, it's fine. They're going to ask something that I don't know. And some customers are always complaining about cost. They're like, Amazon is making so much money. Why can't you reduce my bill a little bit? Why is it so expensive? Before I would be like startled, but then I got very comfortable.
Right.
So I feel like my technical skills were always there. But then I added on to those resiliency, how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? You cannot have every tool in the arsenal, but I think I have enough tools in my arsenal. So I'm just going to go for it.
Right. And as you said, I think in this case, when you were switching, like, what did you decide kind of the parameters were? Because now you've kind of opened up a Pandora's box, right? It's this,
Right.
like, there's almost anything you can do. So how
Right.
did you, I think you are somebody who succeeds in those environments where you kind of sandbox it and you were like, okay, this is something that I want to do. So
Right.
was it when you started the business, like what were the parameters that you kind of isolated?
Yeah, the parameters, the first parameter was, so of course you have to give it time, right? So I'm like, in the first 1 year, if I'm losing money, and if I'm not able to pay my expenses, that's not good. And then I'm immediately gonna start looking for another job. However, it has been 8 months and I'm cash positive. I'm able to pay my expenses and also saving some money.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
like, okay, this is a good encouraging sign. Um, I don't try to put like a number, because those numbers doesn't mean anything most of the times. Because let's say you get 3 more million or 5 more million, it's not gonna change your lifestyle that much. And even if it happened before, I'm like, okay, if I get this much money or if I drive this car, that's it. I'm done.
Right.
So it's funny. I used to drive a Toyota Celica. This is like 20 years back. And I'm like, if I ever get a BMW and a six-figure salary, that's it. I have made it. Because I was making $64,000 that time, 20 years back. And then I bought myself a BMW because my salary went to six figures. I'm like, yeah, BMW is nice. A Porsche will be nicer, right? So then I got a Porsche with a higher salary. Then I'm like, yeah, it's nice, right? A Lamborghini would be nicer. So I have realized at this point that if you
So did
just
you get a
chase a certain,
Lamborghini?
I don't have a Lamborghini yet. Yeah.
So you stopped.
And I don't think I will. I will have one either. Not because of the money part, but I drive a Tesla. I don't even touch my Porsche. It's
Right.
so much fun. It drives me everywhere.
Yeah.
But anyway, but that is the learning, is if you set a number for yourself that I want to get $5 million, then I can quit the job and start my own thing. You won't be able to stick to it. You will increase it. You'll be like, oh my God, the war is going on, inflation going high. 5 million is not good. Let's make it 7 million. That's how we
Right.
work. So my startup goal was, can I pay for my bills? And after that, can I save some money? And then I'm gonna try it for 1 year, release the product, and even if it doesn't go well, at least I can tell my grandkids that, look, I made it into big tech from nothing, and then I left big tech. I walked out of there, gave it a shot, right? And like, I thought that's a pretty good story.
Exactly. No, totally. I mean, Jeff Bezos talks about it. A lot of other people talk about it, like it
Right.
is your regret minimization framework,
Correct.
but also just that, like, how do you want to look back or how do you want to be remembered as? And that's something that I personally struggle with. And I don't
Mm.
like when I used to look up to my leaders back when I was in Europe, I would just see their 15 10, 15 years older than me, and they're just like the work they do is something that I could not do it for next 15 years unless
right?
it was like really interesting and exciting. And so I think you mentioned something that is also I'm curious about is like when you say you were not chasing big payoffs, you were chasing big payoffs, but basically numbers don't make sense and you live kind of frugally.
Right.
Then what is the drive? What is the thing that drives you to is it just that feeling of I did this and
Yeah.
this is done?
Yeah, exactly. This is like the ultimate video game, and I want to be able to say to people that I did it, because okay, so I am a disciple of Stoicism. There's a
Mm,
famous Marcus Aurelius quote: "What are you so afraid of losing when there is nothing to lose," right? Like
right.
you came with nothing, you live with nothing. We are just playing a game of chips at the poker table, and you are accumulating all these chips, but at the end, you're just gonna push everything to the middle and leave the table for someone else. And after you die, in no one's gonna remember you after a certain amount of years,
Right.
right? Um, so I felt like, yes, so money is a factor, but it's not the biggest factor for me. I want to tell a hell lot of a story, right?
Mm,
I mean, like, I want to tell that, yes, I took these chances and I did this, and that to me makes a very interesting life.
mm,
It's funny. So if you try to look back at your life, um, and then you try to remember the things, and you won't be remembering the things when you are just doing normal stuff. Like if you ask me, I was in Switzerland a couple years back. Raj, what's one thing that you remember in the Switzerland? I remember jumping from the cliff for paragliding. Why? Because that was not normal. In
right.
Switzerland, if you just take all the scenic stuff, eat and stuff, I don't remember that stuff, but I remember jumping from the cliff. So I want to make those kind of memories
Right.
in my life.
Like what's the hard exactly right? What's the hard part that you did? That's the hard or the most outlier thing that happened,
Right.
right? And I think but a lot of people, a lot of the days are just packed with a monotonous day to day, and anything could be monotonous, right? If you just keep
Yeah.
repeating the same thing, it could get monotonous, and then you remember, oh, you feel like, oh, I didn't really achieve much, you know? You might be very, and I feel that certain skills are like this, right? I also feel that, for example,
Hmm.
investing, you
Yeah.
have to do the boring stuff every day, and that's when you
Right.
make the big payoffs is the boring stuff. Whereas if you're daily trying to get that dopamine hit or trying to get that hit of like, oh, this feels exciting, I'll do this,
Yeah.
you're eventually not getting anywhere. It's just kind of a fun story or a lot of adventure that you're taking.
100% discipline beats motivation. Like I try to go to gym every day. A lot of the days I don't want to go to gym, but after I go and start working out, I get into it,
Right.
right? And another thing I'll say is leaving a big tech job has to be hard. It's not the smartest that wins the business.
Mm.
It's the people who can endure the most amount of unpredictability. But that's the big switch, Nikhil. Um,
Hmm.
a lot of smart people are in this big tech, right? If they all leave and start doing businesses, people like me will have no chance. But the biggest thing in business is it's unpredictable. There is a study for the on the people who are living in war zone. If they know what's happening, that tomorrow there will be attacked, they are fine. But the hardest part is not knowing.
Right.
Is it gonna be attacked tomorrow? Am I gonna
Yeah.
die tomorrow?
Exactly.
It's like crazy. Like even if you know you're gonna die in 3 days, it's a little bit more comforting than you may die today, you may
Yeah.
die tomorrow,
It's
right?
that
So
anxiety that you're dying every second, right?
exactly.
Mm.
So that is the biggest mental switch, because in business, in your own thing, there is no predictable income, and that is a hard switch that keeps a lot of people in these companies, which is great for me because if smart people like you start leaving Amazon and start competing with me on the business stuff, I
Mhm.
won't be successful.
And when did you get develop this like this part of like embracing unpredictability? For example, I mean, the customers, as you said, like those were very kind of hostile environments, and you figured out
Right.
how to navigate your way with confidence. But now, um, like that's something that is definitely very hard for people. They can't even imagine leaving a 300, $400,000 job
Right.
to go to zero because they have to go to zero, right?
Right.
And that, not even just, I think a lot of the people by this age, but in their mid 30s or early 40s, they're okay with what their parents say and stuff. They're fairly established self identity wise, that they don't really care about those things. But I think it's the self
Right.
that questions that, oh, you're actually leaving a done deal that you get every month,
Right.
and you respect. And it's not just money, it's just that you walk into the office, you're respected, you work with smart people. None of that is guaranteed outside.
Right.
And how did you figure that out, that okay, this is like you gave yourself a time frame, but how were you able to manage on the, for example, even the money part? Like you were like, okay, this is fine, I can go to zero and go for a year. And
Right.
I think you said that 1 year, but I think you would go longer, even if you were not cash positive, you would keep going because this is exciting.
That's right. Yeah, it is exciting. Well, those some of the frameworks that I used were there's nothing for me to keep, right?
Right.
Money is not the game. So I played a simulation. If I stayed working and I get few more million in the bank, what does that do to me, right?
Mhm.
When I die, it means nothing. I just pass it to my kids, who's gonna waste it anyway, or maybe she will pass it to her kids,
Right.
right? Second thing is, I remember it's a two-way door. I'm taking a chance. If it doesn't work out, I am building skills. When I'm building the startup,
Right.
I'm using Gen AI. I'm using all the cloud knowledge. I'm talking to customers. You can always go back. So that was one of the framework that I used. Um, and the third thing is basically, which is very alluring to me, is I will be able to tell heck of a story. Um,
Right.
just fun stuff, fun thing. My dad was very mad at my decision. If it was not my dad, I would have left way earlier. So I told this to them like 2 years back, and my dad was super mad. So
Mhm.
I held back, right? And then I did it. My dad, I think, is still mad, but now he's seeing that I'm making money, I'm paying still all the bills and stuff, so he has calmed down a little bit. Um, but that's when you need conviction, not consensus. Because at
Mhm.
the end of the day, Nikhil, it's your life. And you don't want to have regrets at 80-year-old. Like I read all that stuff, right? Some people interview the people who are super old. The
Exactly. Yeah.
number one thing is the
The
regret.
5 regrets
So
of the dying. Yeah.
that's right. So ask the girl, take the jump, shoot your shot. And it's actually proven, if you try something and you did not, and it didn't work out, people are fine with that.
Exactly.
They are worse with they didn't try, and it's the curiosity, what would have happened.
Right. It's like you're again trying to minimize the regret. And
Regret.
talk to me more about what is the startup that you're working on right now? Is that something public already?
No, it's in stealth. But this will go after it goes live. This is going live next Saturday.
Awesome.
So this is about. So I teach. I'm into EdTech business. So this will be like a platform to upskill on cloud and Gen AI with couple of new features that's not in the market. So
Hmm.
like I just got patent pending last night. So yeah, next week I will be able to say they are patent pending. So after it's released, I can send you some footage and stuff, and maybe you can put it in, and then I can give you a
Yeah.
little insight
No,
as
that's
well.
super exciting. I think that's something I wanted to talk about is like your ed tech. Is this insane that 300,000, 400,000 people have, seen your work and they have appreciated your work? Talk to me about that part. Like, is that one of the most rewarding things that made you obviously switch? Is that look at the impact, like the impact framework, right? Like at Amazon, the impact would be yes, you would have certain impact on revenue of certain companies, but now you're directly able to communicate and teach and help. So there's that, kind of this noble cause that you're doing. And what was the feeling like when you understood that, okay, this is something that I can teach and people do give me valuable feedback that this is good,
Right.
and this is a huge amount of numbers, so congratulations on that. It's just incredible the amount of people who look up to you to get knowledge about cloud and tech and how it has been. And I think a lot of your content is also about building resilience and kind of the other skills that you
Mhm.
need to have, to succeed in careers.
Yeah. So this is very interesting, Nikhil. When I started, I actually started making education content like 8 years back, 9 years back. It's because when I switched, I'm like, wish there was some content which talked to experienced people. Like all the content that was out there, or that's still out there for the AI stuff, is for the people who are just learning that in the vacuum. I'm like, I wish there was something which for people who already was working in IT. So I just started creating some videos and Udemy courses, and the feedback was great. And the funny thing was, they will fill me up. Like I might be having a bad day. Maybe I had a fight with my wife or something else, right? But every time I see the feedback or someone asked me a question and I answer it, and they were very appreciative, or someone messages me saying, Raj, because of this particular video, I was able to answer it in the interview. I got the job. It would really like put me in a really good mood, right? So I felt like that was my calling, and I love teaching. When I was in India, going to engineering college, I would teach like the high school students to get some money, and I used to love it. So I'm
Yeah.
like, like I should really pay attention to what fills me up, right? And over the years, after I built so many courses on YouTube and teaching and stuff, it never faded really. Like even now, if someone messages me and said that, Raj, your system design course, right, it really helped me crack this Amazon interview, I become so happy. It's crazy. It makes me more happier than if you text me and say, Raj, I'm going to give you $10,000.
Yeah.
Like I would feel happier hearing from the student.
Right.
So that I feel like that is my calling. Like God gave me this gift of teaching. I can break a complex idea into simple concepts,
Right.
and I should utilize it.
Right. And I think this is something also that connects to networking. So these are your
Mm.
students, but also you're networking on LinkedIn and
Yes.
other places. That's also something, a way of, um, because I think you switch your mindset at a certain age plus number plus title plus all the external scorecard things that once they
Yes.
check out, you're like, okay, now I can really start enjoying this stuff rather than what's my
Yes.
agenda behind this. Like for example, like when you're 20-year-old or 25-year-old, you're selling a course for free, but then you're inserting those plugins for a higher level
Right.
course.
Right.
You can always sense that this person is like, it's nice that the coaching and everything is valuable, but they're still trying to get something more out of me. You reach out to LinkedIn to
Right.
somebody, you're like, okay, what if I can meet a higher level person? Maybe they would help my career. But now
Right.
I think at certain combination of, I think, maturity of age, your situation, your money, and your title, you kind of figure out that, okay, I can actually just have fun and just meet people just for the sake of it because they look interesting to me. I have
Right.
nothing to, no agenda. I have nothing to gain from this.
Right.
And that's where the most amazing conversations happen. Like, did you start experiencing that with your LinkedIn and other places as well?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you a little story. This also contributed to me quitting. Um, so we have a friend, family friend in New Jersey, and they invited us to a party of their dad. So I don't know if Kara and Ryan, if you two are listening, thank you for inviting to that party. So I went there, and her dad actually quit his job and building a financial company, right? Financial reporting and all that stuff. And he's like 68 years old. And I went there, and he's having the best time. So he has like 15 employees. He just ordered a bunch of wines that he like, right, from Italian wines, and like having a blast. I'm like, okay, let's say I stay in Amazon, Nikhil, and I retire at 58 or whatever, 55. The day I quit, The next day, everything is gone. My identity is gone, right?
Exactly.
I'm just starting from scratch. I have to figure out what kind of hobby do I have. Whereas if I quit now and build something for 20 years, hopefully I'll have some fun, have some employees,
Right.
still building a legacy or something towards a purpose. I'm like, okay, that path looks attractive to me. Um, so yeah, going back to your question, like these days when I meet students or the mentor, yeah, I don't, let's say I'm meeting Ethan and he has talked about this publicly as well. We don't look for like a mutual favors, right?
Exactly.
We just have fun. And this has come true for me as well. If you're passionate about something and you just do the thing, money will come. If you always think, how can I get a little bit of extra money? So let me do this scheme, that scheme, it always evades you. Whereas if you think, how can I help this person? Or what can I create that will help a lot of people? Money will eventually come. So that has been my motto. Now going to your course and the plug thing. So there are two ways to reach a lot of people. One is you can build a product which is cheap but
And
reaches a lot of people, or you can build something high value that will reach less number of people. Either path is good. You have to choose which path you want to take. I personally like this personal mentoring and personal teaching,
right.
right? So I have both paths. I tried with the Udemy, and then in the new product, I'll try the latter path.
This is useful information. I feel it's also making me understand on how, you want to have your, I'm in my mid 30s, so like how your
Mm,
next 10, 15 years have to look like. Because I feel a lot of people just feel, I have a new term in my head for which is applicable to a lot of people, which I call it successful but stuck.
right,
Is they have this kind of golden handcuff problem where it would be better for certain individuals if they were not having this high paying salary, because now it's like a drip and
right.
it's so hard. And it's not just like something against being employed, or but I think it's this constant unhappiness of like, oh, there's so much politics and I'm not enjoying this. Then why don't you do something of your own, because you control then all the details in there. And
Right.
that's where something I also want to figure out is like, um, from your experience, like how powerful has been kind of the content journey that you've been doing for quite some time now.
Yeah.
Your LinkedIn stop voice and like in system designs with so many YouTube listeners, and it gives you a platform. It gives you also a stage. For example, I think you've somebody who works out a lot, it makes you more accountable. So you kind of using it. I feel that I can use it as a feedback mechanism to do something that I think was do. First of all, present what I think is right, and
Hmm.
it has helped me achieve certain things, like present that, but then use that feedback mechanism to get better and better and do that in public. And it's a really really hard challenge to do it, right? Because you're
Hmm.
showing all aspects of you.
Right.
And so talk to me about how this has been for you, and you've been doing it for so long. I'm wondering like what has surprised you in this?
Yeah. So first of all, you have to like it, else it is brutal. So if you like creating content and you get a lot of positive energy from the positive feedback, right? Then you can do this because you might be surprised. I don't have a single viral YouTube video. My most viewed YouTube video is like 350,000 views that I have made like 5 years back. So obviously, I have made a lot of videos, and a lot of them did not have much views, but I just like doing it. That's why I'm sustaining it. Now, going to the hard parts, yes, of course, there are hard parts because if you cannot be consistent, the algorithm punishes you more now than before because making content is easier now, and you will see a lot more content creators and influencers. And the only way to stay kind of relevant or top of people's mind is you have to keep creating them. One thing that worked out for me is you just be yourself. Like you are going to gym, I'm genuinely working out. So I just recorded some stuff and I just used that as a content. When I solved a customer problem which was very difficult, I'm like, okay, let me synthesize this. I already did the work and then share it with others.
Right.
Similarly, when I'm learning the Gen AI stuff or creating an agent for my startup, I'm like, okay, I already did this. I figured out how to do the most efficient RAG algorithm or the chunking part or the short-term memory, long-term memory. I'm just going to create a content and share it. And one thing I do is, you'll see my videos, there is no heavy editing or scripting on my technical videos. I would literally just sit down and talk. I don't have any script for my technical videos. For all this time, 8 years, 9 years I've been doing, I have not used any script for any of my technical videos. I believe if you cannot explain it in your own words without a script, then you have not understood it correctly, right? Is it hard sometimes? Yes, but you can protect some personal stuff. Like you will see, I never post pictures of my daughter anymore, right? I don't post pictures of our family outing. Sometimes I'll go to the friend's house and I will keep my phone in my car so I can detach. It's a constant effort, but
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, and talk to me about like this habits that you have formed, for example, like working out. And I think you're genuinely trying to meet people whenever you step out of your house, and you're trying to, Ethan Evans, and then others also. Like I think you're trying to
Yeah.
have those meetups. You're trying to build, I feel, kind of a community of people, and
Yeah.
I always hear very positive things, like from you and then from others about you. Talk to me about like what has been this habit forming of like stepping out,
Mm,
working on yourself, uh, being isolated, and then working really hard on your own stuff. But when you're done with it, you step out and you
yeah.
kind of release all that positive energy out to people.
Yeah. Well, I am an extrovert. I like chatting with people, right? And going back to working out, I highly recommend everyone starts working out because the confidence it gives you is unmatched by anything else. So even when sometimes I'll go to the gym and someone will recognize me, I like talking with them. I would ask them, hey, what do you do? What's your background? What you're doing? What you're thinking about AI and stuff? Because I mean, we are in this dart pile, in the middle of the galaxy. There is nothing in miles and miles, so might as well trade some stories. I feel like the more modern we are getting, the more detached we are becoming. But humans are meant for connection.
Right.
Like even if you have a lot of money but you don't have connections, you will not be happy. It has been proven. And I genuinely like helping people. Like I like
Exactly.
chatting. I like, okay, if you're chatting with me for a little bit, I'm gonna ask you like, hey, what you're doing, what do you think about the AI and stuff, and then I just try to be natural. Yes, someday my goal is to someday have a conference of my own where Ethan Evan comes and speak. Omar, I'm good friends with him. He just left Amazon. He comes and speak. Some of the other people comes and speak. Hopefully you will be there as well, right? So that's
Right.
the fun stuff, right, Nikhil? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
else what's the point? What is
Yeah.
the point? Like, um, you are in this earth, you just spend 8 years, then you leave, and no one remembers after you leave. All the people who are chasing legacy, maybe 0.01% people will be able to create a true legacy, right?
Right.
Who was the richest man 100 years back? We don't
No.
know. 150
Exactly.
years back, 100, no one knows, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And I think this is kind of the real richness too, in my opinion. Like is your ability to sit with people like truly who you enjoy their company with. Isn't that the whole goal of, you doing everything, is to be able to sit back, enjoy, and talk to people that you really really matter to. So
Great
and
question.
I think one thing that I wanted to ask you, like, what does, for example, next 10 years for
Um,
you look like what is it, are there certain milestones you have in mind, or is it more about being consistent? Is that something that, because I understand it's been 8 months that you started your company,
right.
what would an ideal 10-year period look like for you?
That's a good question. I actually have not thought about 10 years. Um, but if I have to think, I would say I would love to keep doing my own thing because it's very liberating. I can pick up anything. I can pick up a book. in the middle of the day and study or just try any new things. So I would say hopefully still making money to pay the bills and saving money in the 401k and stuff. Hopefully, employees. Now I have one and a half, one full-time, half part-time, right? And helping a lot of people. My dream, you just brought it to my front of the memory. If my startup is successful, I would love to have a non-profit branch of it where me and my team go out to people who are really underprivileged and they can really help from education. Like their lives could be changed with education, right? Like there are people who doesn't know what's better, and if you just give them a little bit of education, either a little bit of IT, a little bit of other things, their whole life trajectory changes. Because if you're born in poverty, you don't know anything, you just continue the cycle, and then if someone comes in and teaches them a little bit and they got a better job, the whole generation after path is changed. So that would be my dream.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's also been studied. I work with a nonprofit back in India where we teach English and non-cognitive skills, and now even AI to tier 3 and village kids in northern belt of India. So this particular nonprofit is called Freedom Employability Academy, and we have about 500,000 students already graduated from it in the last 10 years. And Stanford did a study that the students who go through this program versus their peers, there's a lifetime earning difference of, I think, close to $60,000. So this is for a person from a village or a tier 3 city. They're making 60,000, and that's generational wealth. Like for
generational wealth.
Exactly. $60,000 is incredible amounts of money when their parents are earning $2 a month.
Right.
So that's just really powerful. I wish you the best for that. And I think I have a few short questions maybe that come to my mind because you just had this sheer volume of interactions with people who are trying to do this. What's the kind of the number one skill that people fail and limit themselves when it comes to their career growth, and especially in tech or even outside tech?
Yeah, number one skill is the assumption that you need to know everything in the new skill to be successful, and that if you have been doing a particular tech for a long time, you cannot get out of it. That is absolutely not true. People have been switching trades, switching technology all the time. So I feel like if you can tell yourself that I'm going to reuse whatever work I did, it's not throw away. I'm going to reuse all the technical knowledge as well as the leadership knowledge. And I'm just going to learn this new thing and I'm going to give it a try. And soon you will realize no one has it figured out. Even the people who are doing AI, it's not rocket science, right? So you can learn it and you can switch it. So that's the one thing I would say.
What's the number one skill stopping the immigrants from achieving their true dreams?
Perception of others and trying to please a lot of people. I have seen this very strong in immigrants, especially Southeast Asian. We are a very tight-knit society. So we try to satisfy everyone. At the end, you don't satisfy yourself.
What's the one skill you would tell a kid growing up in a village or a tier 3 in India, and they look at you and they look at, oh my God, like Raj has got it figured out. He was lucky or something's worked out. What's the one message you would tell them?
Don't give up. If I can do it, so can you. You just gotta keep trying. Education is the reason that I was able to get out of poverty and where I am today. Don't give up. Even if you fail at a subject, keep going. Okay, and you don't have to be an Einstein to become successful. You may not be the smartest one in the room, but you can always be the hardest working one in the room. That you can control.
Absolutely. And I feel that education is now almost free. Like if you're really in it, now it's free. Otherwise, previously you'd have to pay a few $1,000s for any good education. But now at least baseline is very much free.
Yes. but also is the distraction. Distraction is free as well, and there are so many distractions because I have a middle schooler at my home. I see how easily they can get distracted with all the social media, TV, all that stuff. So just be mindful of that. Go to the YouTube, do the studying, don't get pulled into all the shorts and all that stuff.
So true. And just last question, what would you say to parents who are starting up their career as a new entrepreneur and switching off from being an employed worker? What would you say to new parents who are trying to struggle, like myself?
I would say this is not end of the world. This is a two-way door, even though it looks like a one-way door. Give it a try. You don't want to have regret. And remember, even if it doesn't work out for you, Amazon will take you back, okay, or any other big tech company. So I would say go for it, man. Like, have some savings so that you can sustain yourself for 6 months to a year. And what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
Nothing, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Raj. Where can people find you? Where can people connect with you?
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me here. It was a pleasure. People can find me in YouTube, Cloud with Raj, LinkedIn, Cloud with Raj, Instagram, Cloud with Raj, X, Cloud with Raj everywhere.
That's awesome. I'm so happy that we got to connect. I really genuinely want to thank you for all the impact that you're creating. I definitely feel that like tech and other technologies that are a enabler for a lot of things that were not possible previously.
Right.
And it's a democratizing tool where people in India, kids in India could pick this up and reach new heights that were not
Right.
previously possible. So thank you so much for being a part of that and helping also people like immigrants and Indians understand that yes, it's possible to do a lot of different stuff, switch domains, and also be able to share your story without having to feel judged. So thank you so much, Raj. It was incredibly useful for me, and I hope this is useful for others.
100%. It was a pleasure, Nikhil. Thank you so much.
Take care.